Walking bass lines with chords thrown in between is one of the coolest things you can play on guitar. Hi my dear jazz guitar aficionados around the world, Sandra Sherman here. Greetings from Austria. In this jazz guitar tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to create your own walking bass lines. I'll show you the two main concepts and put them in context by applying them over the chord changes of the A section of Autumn Leaves. I'll show everything note for note, slow and easy, and I've also made tabs for each of the examples, which you can download from the description box down below the video. It's an instant download, so please don't forget to hit that return to merchant at the end of your PayPal payment. All right, let's dig into walking bass lines. All right, let's check out half bar changes first because they are so much easier to play and it's easier to understand the basic concept behind those walking bass lines. Okay, so here's the chord progression of Autumn Leaves in half bar changes. C minor 7, F7 or F9, doesn't really matter, B flat major 7, E flat major 7, A half diminished, D7 or D7 flat 9, G minor 7, and G7 altered. Okay, so those are our chords. And they obviously appear on count 1 and on count 3. So what, and we'll play the root there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So what we're missing still is count numbers 2 and count number 4. All right, so we need to play something in between them. And half bar changes are easy because all you need to do is play from a half note below or above to the target tone. So 1 is the C root, then on 3 we have the root of the F, and in between you play a half note above the F, that's because F is the target note, or below. It doesn't really matter. Usually you play the one that's closest, all right? I play from below. 1, 2, target note F, 3. Now we want to go to the B flat. And we have a 4 in between. The closest one is half a note above the B flat. So it's 1, chromatic, target note F, chromatic, target note B flat. Let's continue that. Chromatic, let's take from below. Target note is E flat. Now we want to go to A. Chromatic above, because it's closer. Target note is A. Next target note is D. Let's go from below. Target note D. Next target note is G. Let's go from above. Then it's G again, so I go from below this time to be on the G altered. Now let's check this only with the bass notes, as I played now, and make sure to play it like a bass man would play it. We stress the counts 2 and 4, which is actually the chromatic, but that's a jazzy thing, okay? We stress them more. So we play 1, 2, 3, 4, doom, 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 doom. And also make sure, and that's very important, to keep the notes ringing long, you know, not like. This is not a comic strip, a cartoon. We are playing 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's throw in some chords. We have half bar changes for this example. So the chord changes on 1 and on 3, but we have a bass line on 1, on 2, 3, and 4. So we want to give it a syncopated feeling and also make room for the bass line to ring through, to be audible. So we throw in the chord shortly after it changes. So after 1, we have 1 and after 3, we have 3 and. So we go and so on and so forth. All right, let's check this out. We have the bass line on 1, and on 1 and I add the rest of the chord of the C minor 7 chord, and I just play those upper strings because the bass is still ringing. 1 and, can you see that? Just those 3. 1 and, then on 2 we have the same bass line. I'm using the same bass line now that I created before for you. And then we go to F. I play F7 only. You could play F9 too, it doesn't matter. Chromatic from above, target note, and the rest of the chord follows on 1 and. B flat major 7. Make sure that the chords sound really short. Da-da, da-da. So release the pressure on your left hand fingers. Then we had chromatic from below, I think. Target chord, E flat major 7. And the rest follows. Chromatic from above, target chord is A half diminished. Chromatic from below, D7 or D7 flat 9. Chromatic from above, the chord is G minor 7. From below, and chord is G7 sharp 5. All right, let's check this out at real slow tempo. All right, let's use chord tones now, and we play whole bars, like in the original A section of Autumn Leaves, which is whole bars. All right, chord tones. We start with the C minor 7, and we play the triad only for the walking bass line. I mean, we use the 1, the 3, and the 5, and on count number 4, we use a chromatic, like we learned in the previous chapter. That leads us to the new chord, okay? So 1, 3, 5, you gotta know the chord tones. I show you in a quick way how to find them easily. A minor chord, here's the root, has a flat third. That means it's 1, 2, 3 up from the root. And a fifth, which is 7, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's a G, and that's the same G as here. You may know that from the power chords in rock guitar. 2 to the right, and on the next string, that's always a fifth. So 1 flat third for a minor chord, and the fifth. And that's exactly how we go. 1 and is the rest of the chord. 2, 3, and on count 4, we need a chromatic note that leads us to the F chord. And that's the F sharp, of course. And now we go to the F9 we had. Root and the rest. Now let's do the same thing on the F7 chord. F, then a major third now, because F7 is a major chord. I mean, the triad is. The seventh chord is, of course, a dominant chord. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right is your major third. We could play it like this. We could play it also like this. That's the same tone. But I don't want to get up high here because we end up in nirvana someday. B flat, then E flat. So this is too high. We would play walking bass, right? So I transpose that A to the lower A. Okay, the third and then the fifth. And the fifth is here. And we also transpose this one. So what we get is F root, the rest of the chord, Then the third of the chord is A, and the fifth of the chord is C. F, A, C, F, A, C. Those are the same tones, just transposed down an octave. And we need B flat on the 1, and we still miss the 4, so beat 4 will be the chromatic. And beat 1 is B flat major, followed by the rest of the chord. Right? So here's F9. B flat major. 1, and it's a major chord, a major triad. It's B flat, D, F. 1, 3, 5, like on F, which we just transposed. And that leads us perfectly well to E flat via the chromatic E, right? E flat is a major chord again, so the same formula, 1, 3, 5 applies. It always looks the same, okay? You can play it to the right or to the left, which I do. On minor chords, I usually go to the right, and on major chords, I go to the left, okay? But that's up to you. Just gotta find the correct notes. But this is getting too high again, so I transpose the 3 and the 5, the third and the fifth of the chord, down here again. G, B flat, E flat, G, B flat, and A is our target note, but we still miscount number 4. There is no room in between here, no space. So what I do is I go a chromatic below, and now I'm on my target tone. E flat, we were third of the chord, fifth of the chord, chromatic from below, and A half diminished, right? Now, A half diminished has a different formula. It's a minor 7 flat 5 chord. And oops, that was my knee. And we need 1 flat 3 because we're on minor, and flat 5 because it's half diminished. All right? So 1 flat 3 would be here or here. That's the same tone. Both are C's. And we learned the 5 is always 2 to the right on the next, but we need a flat 5. So we flatten this. 1 flat 3 flat 5. You gotta learn those chord formulas to the left and to the right. I could have played it to the right. It depends on what the chord is like and where I want to go. I don't want to go here. I would have to jump, so I go to the left instead of. But that's the same thing basically. Just more comfortable here. The target note is D. We still miscount 4, so we go from below again to D7 flat 9. So here's A half diminished. D7 flat 9. Now that's a major. It's a dominant chord, but the triad is a major. D major. We know that formula already. 1 major third, fifth. Too high, transpose it to the lower tones. F sharp A. D, F sharp A. And we need to go to G minor. So here's the perfect chromatic that leads us to G minor. Right? And the rest of the chord follows. D7. G minor. We know the G minor formula already. It's like the C minor. Minor 3, flat 3, fifth. And now we need to go to G altered. So this is our target note. I take the chromatic from above and go to G7 sharp 5 or flat 13. All right. And now I have a G7 altered. That's the triad is just a regular G major triad. And we know that formula already. All right, so we play that and it leads us to the C via this chromatic. And here we are at the beginning again, C minor 7. Right? And now here's the entire example number 2 with chord tones in at slow tempo. right, let's check out the second and last concept for today, and that's scale tones, using scale tones for building a walking bass line. You have to know what scale you're in, obviously, so let's analyze. That's a 2-5-1 in B flat, second degree, fifth and first of the B flat scale, and on we go with the B flat scale, fourth degree, seventh degree, or a 2 of a 2-5-1 progression. This is the 5 of the 2-5-1, and it does not exactly belong into the B flat major scale anymore, because B flat major scale would have a D minor, not a D7 alt. Then the 6th degree of the B flat major scale, or first of the G minor, and G altered does not belong there either. So with the exception of D altered, D7 flat 9 we had, and G altered, we are in the key of B flat. So you can play the B flat major scale, let's say we're here, right? We just need the bass notes. That's the first pattern of the B flat major scale, okay? So that's where we belong. Let's start with the C minor 7 here on the 3rd fret. And we want to go up to the F, right? So there's a lot of notes in between, and I see a scale tone here, one here, and now I want to have a chromatic on count 4 again, like in all the examples before, that leads me perfectly well to the F9 chord. Chromatic. Right, F9 is the same scale, B flat, so, and I need to go back to B flat. That's a long distance, that's down a 5th. So I'm not sure we can put in that chromatic. I mean, there's always a way. The thing is, the rest would sound awkward. So I don't do it. I just play back the scale. And here we are. Right? We want to go up to E flat major now. And I see a scale tone here, but I go to the left. I use this C, same thing. Because now I see it better. I see better where I belong. D flat and D leads me perfectly to E flat. Scale tone, chromatic. There's no a way around this. Chromatic on count 3 is not the best thing to do, but that's because we have a scale tone which is also the chromatic to the E flat. If that happens, we always have to have a chromatic before that, right? Because there's not enough notes in between this B flat and the E flat. Right? Now we want to go to A half diminished. And let's see what I picked, what I chose. Scale tone, scale tone, scale tone, which is already a chromatic to the A half diminished. So I just use the scale. Scale, scale, scale. It's easy when this one is a half tone above. All right, A half diminished, scale, scale, chromatic to the D, right? Scale, scale, chromatic, D7 flat 9. And now it's the first time we are not exactly in B flat, but you can use it anyway. Scale tone of B flat, scale tone, and then I use the A actually to go to the G. Because again, we have such a fifth, it's always hard to get a chromatic down below, because then you have to have the chromatic on a strange tone before too, and that makes it awkward. So if I go from here to a fifth below, I usually just play the scale. Right? So, and then we're in G minor, and G minor The thing is, after that G minor, I have the G altered. So I don't have a movement here. It's G for 2 bars. And here's a trick that I learned from one of my bass players, upright bass players. Just play the octave, the 5th, and the chromatic that leads you back to G. That fills an entire bar and it doesn't sound boring at all. It's just like a power chord. Octave, 5th, chromatic, goes back to G altered this time. And now G altered, you would have theoretically use the G altered scale, which is a weird one, with the A flat in there. My ear said no, go to the A, because I think my ear already hears the C minor, the upcoming C minor. So I already used the C Dorian or B flat major scale. B flat major scale, chromatic, that leads me back to C minor. Right here is the entire example at slow tempo. Now apply these concepts to any standard you like. And I actually have a video up here for minor blues using chord substitutions and walking bass. This is a really interesting one. Check it out. I have a card up here somewhere. All right, I hope you liked my video. Give it a fat thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell notification to not miss anything. I see you next week. Servus. Bye-bye.